Father, me thank you for leaders and vision. People on a mission, UNC politician. Look at me say, Dr. Michael. We all agree under the UNC. Life as a journey will be more stress-free. Put you rest by the rising sun. San Fernando West, me say your time has come. Dr. Michael, down at we endorsing. Our better TNT, UNC must win. Put you rest by the rising sun. Come and vote everyone. Come and vote everyone for the UNC. Put you rest by the rising sun. Come and vote everyone. Come out and vote everyone for Dr. Michael. Do you hear me? Trini, do you hear me? People, do you hear me? Hear them turn Trinidad and Tobago into their new plantation. It's nothing more than sufferation and taxation. It's time to vote out this administration. Man, we give them the chance to run the country. The only thing them did is tax and fight. We they make things hard, they make it grimy. It ain't hard to see them not like we. But we go vote them out, vote them out. Them understand.
All right, those of you on the outside, please get on the inside. Get yourself prepared. We will begin on time. Of course, the exits are clearly marked to the front, and of course to the right of me, left as well. To the left of me, your bathrooms on the left side. All right, folks, at this time, we're about to begin this evening's proceedings. I ask that you please stand for the national anthem of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, played by Panis Sanjay Ramdath.
Hey, yeah.
I ask that you please remain standing for our universal prayer, read by the chairman of the UNC Arouca Lopinot Constituency Executive, Elizabeth Rayside.
Good night, everyone. Bow heads and close eyes. Divine Creator, source of all wisdom, strength, and justice, we gather today in unity and purpose, with hearts committed to serving the people of Arouca Lopinot, with integrity, compassion, and vision. We thank you for the opportunity to stand in this moment to be voices of the voiceless and to walk boldly in the direction. Guide us through this campaign season with wisdom and grace. Keep us aligned with the hopes of the people we represent. We thank you for a safe campaign thus far, free from harm, division, or fear. As we go into the final stretch, let every step we take be protected, every word we speak be measured, and every action we make be rooted in love, respect, and purpose. Unite us as a team, strengthen our leaders, bless our political leader, the Honorable Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar, with continued courage, clarity, and divine guidance as she leads this movement forward with dignity and strength. Fill our volunteers and supporters with energy, joy, and resilience. And above all, let your light shine through our mission and our movement. We boldly ask for victory on the 28th of April, not for power's sake, but so that we may better serve, uplift, and transform lives. Let the people's voices be heard loud and clear, and may the will of the people bring about a brighter tomorrow. Bless Arouca Lopinot. Bless our campaign. Bless our journey ahead. In your divine name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Please be seated. UNC family, Arouca, Lopinot family, a pleasant good evening. All right. All right, we're not connecting. They said this was Jack people. They said this is Natalie people. After almost 10 years of suffering, 4 days away from removing the PNM shackles, you know what it is. Good evening, Five Rivers Junction. Now we connecting. This is not the time to be complacent nor tired. We're going right down until we see the backs of these wicked people. Right down until we rid the country of this taxing, lying, thieving, baby killing, money missing. That's what we're talking about. We're going to start off with some remarks from a man who always there to tell us, give us the insight. He's a former Minister of Energy in the People's Partnership Government. He's an energy consultant regionally, and he has over 20 years experience in oil and gas industry. He waits for Stuart Young and Dr. Rowley to talk and say what they have to say, and then of course he brings the sense and the logic that we need moving forward. Arouca, Lopinot, Five Rivers, please put your hands together and welcome former Minister of Energy, Kevin Ramnarine.
Thank you very much, Mikey K. Our candidate for Lopinot Bonaire, Dr. Natalie Chaitan. Our distinguished speakers tonight, Austin Jack Warner, Professor Cujo, former Attorney General John Jeremy, and very distinguished audience before us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Five Rivers, the home of Jack Warner. This is the second speech that I am delivering this week. The first was the eulogy for my father, who incidentally grew up right there in Five Rivers and was very much a part of this community. So I'm very honored to have been invited here tonight by the candidate and by Mr. Warner to bring some remarks. And earlier today I pleaded with Mr. Warner for some extra time. I recognize our friends from the PSA, including Leroy Batiste. Good night and welcome to the Green Army. Or is it the Big Green Army? The Big Green Army. So, trade unionists would understand and appreciate that we all have a duty to tell the truth. Correct, Leroy? we have a duty to build our country. And we have a duty to honor by our conduct the legacy of our parents and grandparents. So I always want to live up to these three ideals. And for the last 9 years and 8 months, over 3,500 days and counting, there has been a relentless assault on the People's Partnership government's performance regarding its management of the energy sector and now the economy. Because in the last 24 hours, there are some commentators who have been commenting on the Heritage and Stabilization Fund management under the People's Partnership 2010 to 2015. I don't know if any of you have seen these things making the rounds on the WhatsApp groups and Facebook. So, a lot of it is lies, misinformation. Since September 2015, I have heard these stories, all these stories. Every single time Stuart Young speaks about the energy sector, he has to reverse to 2010 to 2015 where he is trapped. And what amazes me most is that in 9 years and 8 months of his criticism and condemnation of the management of the economy and the energy sector, not one journalist in 9 years and 8 months, not one journalist or media house have ever contacted me and said, Kevin Ramnarine, Stuart Young said X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C, can you rebut? It never happened. I am amazed. So I invite the media, please call, because I want to respond. So I began to believe two things. I began to believe, firstly, that nobody in the media was taking them seriously, and secondly, that their view was a product of their gross ignorance about the energy sector. In the last 10 years, under them, the evidence of a mismanaged energy sector has been pellucid. The sector shrunk by 31%, measured in terms of real GDP. And that decline stands on the back of some frightening figures which should frighten everybody. Our natural gas production, down 34% in the last 10 years. Our oil production, down 35% in the last 10 years. And Leroy, I would have shared some of these numbers with you over the years. Our LNG production, down 42%. But it gets worse. In the last 24 hours, the CSO put out what they call the labor force bulletin for the fourth quarter of 2024. And the CSO said that there were 8,100 persons with jobs. That means there were 8,100 employees in the energy sector as of the fourth quarter of 2024. That compares, ladies and gentlemen, to 22,500 people working in the energy sector when we left office in the third quarter of 2015. Something radically wrong has happened to the energy sector in the last 10 years. But every single time the Prime Minister speaks, he talks about 2010 to 2015. So these are just a sample of some of the numbers that we have. And that decline is at the root of our foreign exchange crisis or shortage in this country. That decline I just talked about is why you have to struggle to get 200 and 300 US from one bank and then go to another bank and go to another branch to scrape up before you get your US dollars to travel. And that problem with the energy sector is not going to right-side itself if we continue with the current administration. That problem with Forex is not going to right-side itself if we continue with the current administration. But I have many issues to talk to you all about tonight. And Jack gave me 5 extra minutes. I'll do my best. But 2 nights ago, the PNM was in St. Joseph. And we were also in St. Joseph. We had a massive meeting in St. Joseph at La Jolla. Devish Maharaj is clearly scaring the living daylights out of the PNM in St. Joseph. And I'm sure our candidate, we're hearing great things, great rumblings coming from Lopinot Bonaire. She's also doing great things in Lopinot Bonaire. So 2 nights ago, in this PNM St. Joseph meeting. I didn't look at the meeting because I was in La Jolla. And somebody told me, go and listen to the PNM meeting on YouTube. So I took 3 Panadol and a cup of black coffee, and I sat down and I listened to the PNM meeting. And I heard that for 10 years now, the PNM has been saying the same thing over and over. For 10 years now, they've been talking about these NGC dividends. Have you ever heard them talk about these NGC dividends? So a few nights ago, in that meeting in St. Joseph, the Minister of Finance, a gentleman by the name of Vishnu Dan Paul, who is known to me, waded into the UNC's use of dividends from the NGC. And he said that the UNC used the NGC like an ATM, and that we had the PIN. But he should be careful using the word PIN on a PNM platform. But he didn't tell you 5 things, and I'll tell you what these 5 things were. 1, the NGC under the People's Partnership Government, under the leadership of the former Prime Minister, was what I could only describe as hyper-profitable. Hyper-profitable. In fact, the NGC from 2010 to 2015 was the most profitable company in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. The dividends that were used not for any sort of subterfuge or anything like that. The dividends that were used to support government expenditure to service the needs of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The dividends were taken in accordance with the law, the Companies Act. And fourthly, I said 5 things. Fourthly, the NGC retained sufficient monies to meet the requirements of its liabilities, its operations, and its capital program. But the 5th thing, which Vishnu, Minister of Finance, did not tell you, the 5th thing is he didn't tell you who was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance in 2013 and 2014 and 2015. The permanent secretary, he should consult the permanent secretary, who was the person who was the permanent secretary back then. He was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance, sitting at the right hand of Larry Hawaii during that period, and he may have forgotten that he was permanent secretary. Why did he not raise an objection in 2014 and 2015 when these dividends were being used for the benefit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago? Right? And what was his role in ensuring that the NGC complied with requests from his shareholder? Because we didn't take the NGC money because the NGC is some alien creature. The NGC is owned by the government and the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The NGC belongs, so that those dividends belonged to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. What was his role? I'm asking, what was his role in ensuring that the NGC complied with the request from the shareholder? All of a sudden, he is red and ready and talking about ATM and PIN and so on. So the other issue which I didn't plan to deal with this one, but I have to deal with this one, is the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. Because there are a couple gentlemen whose name I will not call, to quote Jack, not tonight, who have been very active on social media. They were very quiet and dormant for years, and they suddenly have become very active, and that's a sign of desperation. It's a sign of fear that there's a pending defeat in 4 days. One of them has been saying that the UNC, or the People's Partnership from 2010, 2015, made no deposits in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. And that is false. And as I said, forgive me because I didn't plan to speak on this, so it's not in my notes. But this is a story from Monday, the 31st of January, 2011. And the headline is Government Not Tapping Heritage Fund. 2011, who is the government? Kamla Prasad Visesa. The story says Finance Minister Winston Dukaran made this point at the post-cabinet press conference at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's last Thursday, noting the money in the HSF increased from 3 billion to 3.6 billion from June 30th to September 30th, 2010, under the People's Partnership government. Dukran said this was reflective of a $600 million US deposit. And we also have other information from the HSF reports that deposits were made or contributions were made to the HSF in 2010, as Minister Dukran, former minister, pointed out, in 2011 and 2012 and so on. So the impression is being given that no deposits were made between 2010 and 2015, and that is wrong. And that is part of the central thesis of the PNM. Their central message every night when they speak is that they are eminently qualified to preside over this economy, and that they have the skill sets, and they are sophisticated negotiators and so on. And all the evidence with regard to the performance of the economy points in a totally different direction. I have so many things to do. I don't know how much time left I have Mikey K, right? Mikey K has vanished. At the same meeting in St. Joseph, Prime Minister Young, right? Prime Minister Young said from 2010 to 2015, he loves 2010 to 2015, right? The UNC negotiated one energy contract, a deal that they did with a Japanese company. And he said that deal cost the NGC $3 billion. For 10 years now, he's been beating up on that project. That project is today a $1 billion US methanol plant in La Brea, operating for the last 5 years. I have to ask, we put that methanol plant in La Brea. It's called CGCL. I really have to ask, at that same meeting at a previous meeting in Mount Lambert, so this was the St. Joseph meeting, he was in Mount Lambert a few weeks before, he said a certain individual, who I could only assume is me, could not negotiate more than one contract for energy. Now, I don't know what is a contract for energy. I don't know what that means. I've never heard of that in all my life in the energy sector. But what are the facts? The facts are, for the correction of the record, that between 2010 and 2015, the government I was a part of, Jack was a part of, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa led, we awarded 21 production sharing contracts and exploration and production licenses. And when we were coming to the end of our tenure, our time in government, a retired permanent secretary checked the records, and he told me that was a record for any one minister. So that compares to, that 21 compares to 13 that was signed between 2016 and 2025. And during our tenure, NGC signed 6 gas sales contracts. Not 1, 6. And we have that information courtesy the Freedom of Information. So Stuart Young is wrong. It's not 1, it's 21 plus 6. 21 plus 6 is 27. It's not 1. As for the NGC losing money on that contract, that might be because of political interference in natural gas negotiations between the NGC and the upstreamers. I don't know since when it has become acceptable in this country for politicians to be in the direct front line of energy contract negotiations, but apparently the media allows these things to slip by now. That could never happen. That could have never happened. Ministers getting involved directly in negotiations relating to millions and billions of dollars of contracts could have never happened in my cabinet under our former Prime Minister. And it certainly, John Jeremy could attest, and Kennedy could attest, it could not happen under Patrick Manning. So, how much more time I have? About 5 minutes. So, what is the way forward? So, as I said, we are 4 days away from a general election. The PNM is giving the impression that they alone are some sort of, they are ordained to run this country, that they alone understand the oil and gas sector. All the data, and I have put out all the data in table format on Facebook, it's circulating, shows that the energy sector is heading in the wrong direction. Our economy has contracted by 17.1% in the last 10 years. Now, I made a statement at La Jolla that Trinidad and Tobago was the 7th worst performing economy in the world for the period 2016 to 2024. That statement, if you go back to that speech in La Jolla, that statement I said was based on IMF data. I never said based on an IMF report. But people in the government are looking for reports all over the internet. And their social media influencers looking for a report, and they're saying that I made it up. Why would I make up that? And why 7th? Why I didn't say 6th or 5th? How I get 7th? Well, I'll tell you one last thing. The IMF puts out 2 World Economic Outlook reports every year, one in April and one in October. Those 2 reports come with accompanying databases. So they put out one this week. The April came out this week. And I downloaded the database. Take careful note, I didn't say report. I downloaded the Excel database and I did the analysis. And Trinidad and Tobago is still the 7th worst performing economy in the world for the period 2016 to 2024. On average, our economy contracted by about 2% per annum on average. And overall, there's been a 17% to 18% reduction in the size of the economy since 2015. And the energy sector, as I pointed out, leads that procession, that funeral procession, with a decline of 31%. So, in closing, I want to tell you all, I have come to know your candidate. She is a well-qualified medical doctor, a specialist. She has come forward from her profession to offer herself for national service in a constituency which is deemed it's a PNM constituency, but it's a constituency which she can do very well with your support, and she can overturn the PNM in 4 days. She has 4 days. There is a wave coming down the East-West corridor. You all agree? There's a wave coming down the East-West corridor. It's coming through Barataria. It's going through the Kwese. It's coming down the Eastern Main Road, past St. Joseph, through St. Augustine, Tacarigua. It's coming down to Lopinot. But this is what they call the first crossing. You all know, I was asking somebody if they know why they call this the first crossing. And they didn't know. Because this was the first crossing of the train on the Eastern Main Road. And it's coming down all the way, and it will pass Lopinot Bonnet. The wave will continue to go down the corridor to Arima. And this is what the PNM is mortally afraid of. That wave that is coming down the East-West corridor. And that is why they defaced the posters and the banners of Devish Maharaj 2 nights ago. Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. I have a lot more to say. I could write a book of rebuttals on the PNM. In fact, I should write a book of rebuttals on the PNM. But time doesn't permit tonight. And I just get an additional 5 minutes from Mikey K, but I've already started my wind-up Mikey K. So, you should have given me the extra 5 minutes ago. But I want to, as I have a little more time, say that Trinidad and Tobago is not beyond repair. And questions have been asked about how are we going to finance what we have said we would do in the manifesto. And I would simply say this. This is a country that ought to be the best place in the world to live. This is a country where today in coming here, I was talking to a public servant who lamented to me, Leroy, that they were living on 2013 salaries. I meet my former staff from the Ministry of Energy who are struggling to get by. I meet public servants, you meet people who work in the state sector. I don't think the NGC has had a wage increase since we left office. So the NGC is also struggling, right? We have a responsibility and a duty to so organize this economy that this economy reaches its maximum potential. Clearly, under the current management, when a bowler gets a lot of licks, the captain pulls off the bowler and sends him to field by the boundary. So that is what happened, I think, to our former Minister Finance. He's fielding by the boundary because they brought a new Minister of Finance, they flew him in from England and so on. But I want to tell you all tonight that we have the skills, we have the personnel, we have the leader. We've done it before. We can arrange the affairs of this country such that this country becomes wealthier, such as this country partners with Guyana and Suriname, two CARICOM countries that are experiencing booms, and we have the capacity here to be part of that, and we could make Trinidad and Tobago, to quote President Trump, Mikey, we could make Trinidad and Tobago great again, not just for this generation, but for generations to come, and we can ensure that our public servants, our people in the state sector, our doctors, our teachers in particular, I see the teachers settle for something, right? But I think teachers deserve to be well paid, right? But my parents were teachers. I think Jack was a teacher too. We should be able to so organize this country and diversify this economy that we become once again the shining light, the leader of the CARICOM and the Caribbean. And we can only do that if on the 28th of April, everybody and your extended family and beyond, everybody gets out early to the polls, because remember what happened in 2015, rainfall. And you see what's happening these days. Get out early on the 28th of April and vote for your UNC candidate, Ms. Natalie Chaitan. Thank you very much.
A round of applause again for the former Energy Minister, Kevin Ramnarine. Thank you, Kevin, and he's correct. The media has dropped the ball for the last 10 years. What we want is raw reality, not false hope. And many of the things that is in our interest is not being printed. And because of Jack Warner and Natalie, they're spending money here, they're spending money there for big, big billboards. To do what? To list all their failures. Nobody wants to move with Marvin. We want Marvin to move out. That is what we want. For Marvin to go. To go. You are a consummate failure. You have done nothing. No water in the taps. No good garbage collection. Poor infrastructure. But you know what? That is all right. That is why we'll appreciate Natalie more. Because we know Natalie cares. We know she loves. And all these people who are talking about, I ain't meet the candidate yet, don't study them. If you know Natalie by now, you will never ever know her. Because the engine room is moving with her every single day in Arouca, Lopinot. Every single day. And Jack Warner is right there by her side. Give the engine room and all the executives of Arouca, Lopinot a round of applause. Who don't know, they don't want to know. They don't deserve to know. Our next speaker is a gentleman who has served Trinidad and Tobago as a Roman Catholic priest. He's a former member of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. Yes. He's a man, of course, he was a member of parliament and a minister of government. He's here on the right side tonight, doing the right thing, talking the right things, standing up for the right things. A true patriot. So Arouca, Lopinot, Five Rivers Junction, please put your hands together and let's welcome on stage Dr. Kennedy Swawat Singh.
Everybody wins when UNC wins. Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Honorable Kamala Persad Bissessa, the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Members of the executives of the United National Congress, Ms. Felicia Thomas, President of the PSA, Mr. Batiste and other members of the PSA. My colleague and brother, Mr. John Jeremy, Mr. Austin Jack Warner, Professor Kojo, and the next Member of Parliament for Arouca Lopinot, Dr. Natalie Chaitan-Maharaj. I cannot tell you how pleased I am to be invited to share some thoughts with you this evening. Yesterday, I was fortunate to be with Roger Alexander in Tunapuna and Mr. Devish Maharaj in St. Joseph. And today, we are here with Dr. Chaitan-Maharaj. And one of the things that I can tell you is that you don't elect people to be ministers, you elect people to be members of parliament, to serve your interests, to represent your views, to make your lives better. And one of the things that I am very proud and honored to stand on a UNC platform and proclaim is that the United National Congress, it is full of people who come to serve and not to be served, who come to give and not to receive, who come to love even as you love them in return. So my dear friends, let me implore you to please go out and work hard to make Dr. Chaitan-Maharaj your next member of parliament. I don't want to spend too much time. My brother Kevin did explain to you a lot of what is going on the other side. You know, my grandmother told me when I was growing up, because I grew up with my grandmother, when you have nothing good, say nothing. But when people only want to let you focus on what took place before they came into office, it means that they have nothing to talk about when they were in office. More often than not, political parties go and ask you to vote for them based on what they have accomplished. I find it is passing strange that they are asking you to vote for them, not on what they accomplished, but what they still plan to do. Last night when I was in Santa Margarita, a former senator for the United National Congress said something that made me chuckle inside. She said, if you're reading a book and the book have 10 bad chapters, you're going on and read chapter 11. She said, if you're reading a book and it has 10 bad chapters, you're throwing away that book. You're mashing up that book. You can't even give it away instead of throw it away. So my dear friends, all the talk about they're trying to get you to focus on all kinds of extraneous things. All the talk in which they're trying to make you afraid. One of the constant refrains that I have heard, because you know I live in Barbados, I've been there for the last 14 years. And even in Barbados, people, PNM people, everybody will tell you over the last 10 years, one of the things that they will not remind you of, that from 2010 to 2015, people felt better. Everybody say, you know, at least we get something. At least something was done. What can you say about the last 10 years? And you know, as I see this representation across this coalition of interests, as I said, I've been living Barbados for the last 14 years. Many of you may not know, but since in the 1990s, I think, and probably even before that, my memory is a little bit hazy, Barbados has always been governed by what they call a social compact. That social compact comprised of labor, government, and civil society. And every major decision, you'll all take my word for it, Google Mia Motley and the social compact and you'll see it for yourself. It is all done with labor and civil society around the table. One of the things that have impressed me with Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and the United National Congress is that in this campaign, they are confident enough, not only about what they can do, but on who they are, on the leadership that they bring, to create a big tent where many voices are included in the governance and the governing process for Trinidad and Tobago. It is important, therefore, that one of the distinguishing features that separates the United National Congress from anybody else, it is that they include all your voices, because their intent, their philosophy is to lift the lives of everybody, to make sure that we all benefit, to make sure that no one is left behind, to make sure that people have a living wage, a decent life, a chance to fulfill their dreams, their goals and ambitions. For far too long, the governing philosophy has been how we could make sure and fulfill the ambitions of the few at the expense of the many. And in this coalition, they are determined to make sure that the many are not taken for granted anymore. It is why you have to know, and in fact, there's a biblical saying that says, new wine, new wineskin. But if you put new wine into old skin, it go burst, and all the wine will be wasted. If we want a new day for Trinidad and Tobago, we have to bring new management. People who care, people who want to make a difference, people who want to lift your lives. I remember, and my colleague John Jeremy could bear me out, I sat in a cabinet, and I remember in that cabinet, the Prime Minister saying, the only people to have all these flashy things would be the President, the Prime Minister, and the Chief Justice. I used to walk sometimes from my office on St. Vincent Street up to Whitehall. And I had no problems walking the road. People will give me a little tease every now and then. I stop by the wayside and by the doubles man, I eat my doubles in my Balize tie and I go my way. Since when we are afraid of being among the people, speaking with the people, we have become so far removed, and that is why today politics have this bad connotation. And today I stand on this platform with no hesitation to endorse Dr. Chaitan-Maharaj, because she represents a new vibe coming back where politicians are people of the people, for the people, to serve the people. I have nothing but love for anybody who wants to serve. I wish all my former colleagues well. But like I have said on other occasions, I love them, but I don't agree with them. Because you could love the sinner, but hate the sin. And tonight, my dear friends, it is time for us to usher in a new dawn that will be symbolized with the rising of the sun. They say, when you turn on a light switch, you don't see the light, you know. You see what the light reveals. The light of the rising sun have revealed a new opportunity for Trinidad and Tobago. One of economic prosperity through diversification. It is passing strange where people keep telling you, we alone have the ideas. I consider myself an educated man, and I don't have all the ideas. In fact, my grandmother told me when I was growing up as well, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, because you're supposed to listen twice as much as you speak. You have to hear the cries of the people. You have to be willing to listen to what they have to say. For far too long, many of our politicians have been speaking at people, not with them. And so that is why we need a new set of politicians to occupy the corridors of power. People who will listen, people who care, people who love, people who are not afraid to walk among you, people who won't change their phone number when they get elected. I have had my phone number since cell phones came out. 6789782. I had the same number. I always feel that if you lose sight of why you want to be in this business, then you are no longer fit to be in it. By their disregard for you, by their dereliction of duty, they have lost the opportunity for your vote and for your confidence. I could preach all night, so let's stop, man. So, my dear friends, let me remind you what is at stake. Tonight, as we share this platform, while Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and all the coalition partners are excited to be given the opportunity to once again govern Trinidad and Tobago, they are all humbled with the task ahead. But because they have done it before, they know they can do it again. As we were reminded by the very effervescent and dynamic president of the PSA, there's so many good things that happened from 2010 to 2015. Over 140 collective agreements settled. There are opportunities ahead for us to face what is coming together. And yes, there are going to be difficult days. But like our motto says, together we aspire and together we will achieve. Let us not be afraid of the task ahead. Let us be confident in our leader, in our candidates, in our coalition, that we collectively not only will find the answers, but we have the people, we have the passion, and we have the will to make a better Trinidad and Tobago. So don't let them frighten you. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them obfuscate. Don't let them blind. You see, as people long ago would tell you, it have none so blind as those who can't see in one eye and blind in the next. Don't let them pull the wool over your eyes. This election is one where we are taking back the power, putting it into the hands of the people, putting it in the hands of a leader who cares and who can help walk with you, hold your hand, and lift your life. So, my dear friends, I don't want to spend any time the rest of this week speaking about what the other side bring. I want to reinforce that together, the United National Congress, under the leadership of the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, under the participation of your Member of Parliament, Dr. Natalie Chaitan-Maharaj, with the coalition of interests, they have the determination to face the next 5 years with confidence, with vigor, and with compassion to make sure that they can lift all of us, because a rising tide lifts all boats. A rising tide lifts all boats. And let me just say, people ask, so I'm saying, why you on a UNC platform? And I tell them, in my own simple way, people go where they are valued, where they are welcome, they stay where they are valued. This is a party. This is a platform. These are people who value all of us. My dear friends, I have been privileged in my life. I've been privileged. I have spent over 35 years in service of Trinidad and Tobago in several capacities. I've been major, father, minister, doctor. The only title I want from now on is daddy. I love my family. I look after my family. Me want no more title. I have enough title. I've had enough titles in life. But I have promised my family that in the days I have on this earth left, because I turned 60 last year, my mother has full-blown Alzheimer's. And I like being here because it gives me a chance to go and spend time with my mother. But in the days that I have left, I ask Papa God to bless me with the health and strength to make each step a meaningful step. To make each conversation one that seeks to lift people up. I lament the fact that too many of us have conversations aimed at bringing people down, at labeling people, at creating a divide between you and us, between we and them. That when we talk, everybody had to shut up and listen. That is not how I grew up. That is not how I am as a father, and it is not how I wish to be as a man. It is why one of the first tests when you look at candidates is, are you a good man and a good woman? And that is why today I want to exhort you to vote for Dr. Natalie Chaitan-Maharaj, a good woman. That is why you have to vote for Roger Alexander and for Devish Maharaj and for Kamala Prasad Bisesa and for the coalition of interest. Good people. My dear friends, as I am here on Five Rivers Junction, somebody called me yesterday. You know, as I said, they bring me back from Barbados this week. I have my ticket to go back on April 29th. I'm going back to Barbados. And they say, boy, you're going back next week with your bag full of money. How much Mr. Warner give you? Because that's how they think. If, and I want to end by saying this, if my integrity could be so easily bought, then they don't know who Kennedy Sarat Singh is or who John Jeremy is. When we come here of our own free will. We come here without promise, without fear, without favor. We come because we believe that Trinidad and Tobago not only can be better, but must be better. We come here because we want to join the voices of people who want to bring sanity back into the conversation, who want to bring care back into the politics, who want to bring people at the center of all that we do. It is about you, not about me. I always say, members of parliament are temporary positions. This is your home. This is your time. And the United National Congress is the party to form the next government with Dr. Chaitan-Maharaj as your next member of parliament. I thank you.
Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide.
Another round of applause for Kennedy Sarat Singh. Green Army, UNC family, 4 more days to go.
One love, one team.
Five Rivers Junction is alive. The energy is pumping. 4 more days to go to remove those shackles and live because we want to live better. Our next speaker, but before I introduce her, I have to ask the question. When did the unions become public enemy number 1? Why do they hate the unions like that? Why? You see, because dictators don't like anyone holding them accountable. They feel they don't need to answer to anyone. Do you as they please. They don't care. As long as it's about benefiting themselves, their friends, their family, and their finances, they can bully their way out of anything. That's their problem. But the union is not invisible. The union exists, and it stands there to represent the working class. And they ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere.
On election day, vote UNC. One love, one dream.
So Green Army, she has been on the platform. She has been coming out. She's been talking. And one thing I could say, they give me a whole list here, but I want to get to the heart of it. One thing I could say about the leader of the Green Army is that she believes wholeheartedly in her heart of everything that no worker wins until every worker wins. And so for that, Arouca, Lopinot, you have the love. You know how to welcome them. Please stand, Green Army, and welcome your leader, President of the Public Service Association, the PSA, Miss Felicia Thomas.
Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can build, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who can lead properly, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one.
Good afternoon. Of course, a pleasant good evening to the political leader, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, the executive of the UNC, candidate for Lopinot, Dr. Natalie Chaitan, but I want to pause because the Green Army, I want you to understand that Dr. Natalie Chaitan is part of the Green Army. Comrades, I had to come down flat this evening because I had to come in eye level with the man I going and address. Comrades, this is another episode. We are seeing another episode of desperately looking for votes. Desperately looking for votes. That is the episode we are seeing playing out today. Colin called on the membership of the PSA, but when you call on the membership of the PSA, Colin, you just get me. So in the words of the political leader, let me reintroduce myself. I am Felicia Thomas, President of the Public Services Association. And I want to send a message to Colin tonight. Do not call on my members. We do not want to hear from you. Because it would seem as his memory, just as short as him. But let me take him down memory lane. Let me remind Colin of what he has done, how he has withheld public officers' back pay. Let me remind you that the PSA submitted our proposals for the period 14 to 16 in October of 2015. That is what happened. You, sir, sometime thereafter instructed that no negotiations take place. And then 7 years down the line, you publicly announced that you have instructed the CPO to commence negotiations. You all remember that? Brothers and sisters, he then offered public officers a measly 4% increase for a period of 6 years. And then you, Colin, you sent it down to the court, down to the special tribunal, not the PSA. We found out about that on television, just like every one of you. That is how we found out. The court then attempted to impose a 4% over 10 years, which the PSA resisted. We won that in the court. But you know what you did, Colin? Tell the public officers that you have appealed that decision. Tell them that. Don't just talk to public officers about back pay, because life extends beyond the back pay. When back pay done is $218 increase they will have to survive on. Tell them that. Tell them that the consolidation of COLA alone gives them an increase of $450, which is more than your 4% offer. Tell them that you are trying to make races out of the masses. Colin said that the PSA is denying public officers their back pay and causing them suffering. Me? PSA? Suffering is when you get paid today and it's done tomorrow. Suffering is when every month you're going home with less and less from the supermarket because prices sky high and your salary low. Suffering is when you're borrowing from your friend this month to pay back the friend you borrowed from last month. Suffering is when your husband, you, and your eldest child put your salaries together and you still can't afford a house in this country. Suffering is when the government taking your money for a medical plan and you're waiting 2 years, you can't get your claims back. Suffering is when you can't pay your bills and you have to pick and choose which one to pay this month. Suffering is when your children belly bubbling and you don't even have sugar water to give them. And your MP Marvin telling you the solution is to eat pie once for the week when you can't even eat it once for the month. Suffering is when you can't afford to put your children in extracurricular activities because your salary won't permit. But they're telling you tighten your belt while they slacken theirs. Suffering is when you can't pay, when you can't plan your life because the P&M have your job in limbo for the past 10 years. Suffering is when you're on contract for 29 years and you can't become permanent. And I go in and talk to the retirees because suffering is when you retire and they pay you a pension in a substantive post instead of the post you have worked in for the past 2 years. That is suffering. Brothers and sisters, suffering is what you get when you vote for the PNM. I have said to my membership, and I will say it again, I will remind you tonight, that I have said to you that my membership, you must earn a living wage. We must have a vision, and everything we do thereafter must be to accomplish that goal we have set out. And therefore, we shall not cease fighting until the salaries of our members earn sufficient so that they can take care of themselves, take care of their families, with extra for savings, extra for leisure, extra for a rainy day, extra. Comrades, and the pathway to that is no less than 10%. And let me address the lies of the PNM, because last night the fellows on the platform said PNM, they're quaking. Hear what they do. They're trying to make the population feel that 10% is for 10 years. Comrades, that 10% is for the same period that they're offering 4%. It is for the same period that the PNM offering workers 4%. 10 not better than 4? So we were with 10, yes? And they have workers asking, not workers, they're people asking, where are we going to get the money from? Well, I think the political leader has answered that sufficiently. But let me say this. An average of $58 billion is spent in this country on a yearly basis. It has nothing to do with where the money coming from. It has to do with priorities. And the PNM has not prioritized workers in this country. I hear Dan Paul hinting to an increase for pensioners. I thought it didn't have money, Stuarty. Vishnu. I thought it didn't have money. Where that money coming from? But it would seem the only time they don't have money is when we say public officers. Because they hate public officers. Public officers must get nothing. But we will fight you. We will vote you out. Comrades, I hear Stuart said that this is a new chapter. I say this is a new chapter from the same damn book called The Rich Getting Richer. We don't want no part of that. Workers in this country must rise. We must rise like the sun. Because when we emancipate ourselves from PNM mental slavery, tomorrow will be a better day. And then I heard Camille. I heard Camille. And she asked, what did the PSA do for workers during COVID? Camille, I want to thank you for reminding me. I want to thank you, Camille, for reminding me. Public officers, workers, do you remember quasi-safe zone? All you remember that? All you remember that they threatened to take your jobs if you didn't take the vaccine? Thank Camille for reminding us. The PNM looked on while hundreds of workers in this country lost their jobs because they refused to take the vaccine. We remember that. Thanks to Camille. And hear what she didn't know. After workers lose their jobs, you boast about giving out hampers. Why you didn't save the workers and then blast their jobs so you ain't had to give out no hampers? But let me tell you what the PSA was doing during that time. We were protecting our membership from you, the PNM. And then we were defending those that lost their jobs. That is what the PSA was doing. And let me circle back to Stuarty. I come back for you this evening. And the last failed Minister of Public Utilities, Marvin, sorry. I tell you, Wednesday, don't wash your hands from this cabinet subcommittee report. I bring it tonight. But you see this signature page? You see the signature page? Watch it good. Marvelous Marvin. Followed by Franklin Khan. Rest in peace. Camille. And then Stuart Young, MP. This is your report, Stuarty. I keep telling you, own it, claim it. This is yours. Comrades, I brought it back for you to see because he disowning it. He shamed. He was caught in a lie. So you want to double back. Comrades, in a letter dated September 11, 2024, titled Transformational Update, the authority informed PSA that it was establishing the top structure of the authority's new business model. All you hear that? Business model. Your cabinet subcommittee report, Stuart, you recommended that same new business model, the one you're disowning, the one you say that all you set aside in the cabinet subcommittee report, you referenced it. The management referenced it in September 2024. But let us remember, Stuart, he was in training all that time, so he may not have known. But I come tonight to tell you, Stuart, on page 116, bullet point 5, I didn't give all the details, right? 116, bullet point 5, you said that one of the risks to transforming WASA is that the operations knowledge of WASA resides within the workers. And they may not want to share that information with you. Guess what you did? They started something called process mapping. Anybody know about that? And that is a fancy way of saying getting to know how you do your job. Process mapping. Stuart said they're not getting rid of WASA. You damn lie. Your report says different. We will not trust you. You will not trust your words because you are the same government that said you are not closing down Petrotrin. Let me close by saying to public servants, PSA members, the citizenry of this beautiful country, the PNM said that they raised gas once, they raised it twice, They raise it 3 times and we in riot yet. Well, the riot starts on April 28th. They must know that governments that stand against labor must be what? Must be what? Must be what? So on April 28th, what is the only color we know? Yellow is the code. Yellow is the code. Yellow is the code, and we will vote them out. Thank you.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend,
yes,
now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can build, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who can lead properly, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote
another round of
UNC.
applause, please.
One love, one team.
Another round of applause for PSA President Felicia Thomas. Yes, what we're witnessing in this campaign is woman's power. Yes, indeed. Led by the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. Our leader has been attacked in so many different circles. She's this, she's that. She ain't strong. Kamala's so strong, she have men losing their social decorum and they out here cussing and going mad. Kamala's so strong, she have a man seeing a black van driving up and down in St. Joseph with bullets and rude boy. He don't know the make or model of the vehicle, but he's seen it. That's how strong Kamala is. The PSA has a leader that is standing for workers. And right here in Arouca, Lopinot, we have the next member of parliament, Dr. Natalie Chaitan-Maharaj. Woman's power. Woman's power all the way. Our next speaker, and I know he's coming to clear the air on this, because I know many of you who make up the engine room, who's been going around, and even in your own household family, young black men and women are coming out in their numbers. But remember Rowley said that he was disappointed in us? That we were supposed to be better off than we are. That's what he said about us. You see, they don't care. They believe that once you're born a certain ethnicity, you belong to them and they own you. And when they own you, they treat you how they see you. They see you with no worth, with no value. So you have nothing to get. Your children don't deserve any better education. Your children don't need to go on vacation, go to the Botanic Gardens. Their children go to Miami and they go to Europe. You deserve nothing. And that's the mentality of the PNM. That's their ideology. But on April 28th, we are telling them, listen, all that you have stolen from us, all that you have taken from us, and all that you have said to us, we've had enough. And on that day, we're telling them to go. To go. Because you have disappointed us. We as a country supposed to be way advanced than we are. But you didn't care. You didn't care at all. But on April 28th, we know that Kamala cares because we know the person who's going to be there is Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, the next Prime Minister, Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And she cares. He's going to come. He's going to clear the air on these issues. He has taught at Harvard University, Cornell University, Fordham University, and he's written for many newspapers, including the New York Times, the Boston Globe, the Baltimore Sun, and he's written several books, including The Slave Master of Trinidad, Beyond Boundary. And I hope he's working on that next book, no, not from Mason Hall to Whitehall, from Whitehall to Carrera. I hope they call him so he can help them with that, please. Arouca, Lopinot, Five Rivers Junction. Please put your hands together and welcome Professor Selwyn Kojo.
Well, UNC wins, Trinbago wins, Trinbago wins. Everybody wins, everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can build, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who can lead properly, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team.
Hey Baiwa and hey Davi, brothers and sisters, Kai and Hal, like you understand me Hindi or what? Let me tell you what it is again. By what? Tell me nice. But brothers and sisters, it is great to be here. And thanks to be here at this place where I was born. Now I have to, first of all, I don't know, castigate Mr. Jack Warner for having me speak after the dynamic, personable, brilliant Felisa Thomas. Avex. I can't match that level of rhetoric and brilliance and interpretation of stature. Nonetheless, I shall try. But before I do that, I have to say, give my thanks to and bring greetings to talk about, first of all, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, as you know, the leader of the UNC and soon to be our next Prime Minister of the... I also have to recognize a fellow called Jack Warner, but all making false claim. All they calling Fivers Jack Warner, Jack from Rio Claro. I from here, I from Tagarigua. So let me give him a little piece. We don't give him the whole thing. All right? Of course, Mr. Ken Ramnarine, of my friends, John Jeremy, Kennedy, Sawat Singh, Jerome Lewis, and Jerome stand up now. All them voice, Jerome stand up, Jerome stand up, where is? All the voice at UNC and all them ads, all the composition was done by Jerome Lewis. Give him a hand. Of course, I will be remiss if I don't recognize Mr. Leroy Batiste, who has been the past president of the PSA and who has done such a marvelous job with the organization. We know he stands on the heads of many people have gone before, but that is how life is. We stand on the shoulders of those who have gone before us. And just one shout out. I hope Gail, and Neil, I hope all in the audience. And I hope all of us in UNC. But this evening, my topic is going to be the mother of the nation. The mother of the nation. In fact, I bring you tidings of great joy. In doing so, I am tempted to borrow from the words of the Bible on the birth of Jesus Christ, when the angel said unto his people, "Fear not, for I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you this day is born in the city of David a Savior, and also a new mother of the nation, who shall be joining the nation very, very soon." Of course, I do not mean to be sacrilegious in making this analogy. I know I forget Kenny Saratsing. I didn't call your name, boy. The man doing a big work, hear his speech. He's very good. Now, I do not mean, of course, he's a priest, so I've got to be careful. I don't mean to be sacrilegious in making this analogy. I wish simply to tell you that when you vote for Kamala Persad-Bissessar, on April 28, you will be ushering a new and glorious era in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. I am sure that you would remember on August 31st, 1962, when we achieved our national independence, we were pleased and joyous to inaugurate Dr. Eric Williams as the father of the nation. He so remains and will always remain. I wish to assure you, though, that on April 29th, 2025, we elect the Honorable Kamala Basesa as our next Prime Minister, and we'll be putting in office the mother of our nation. After all, we cannot have a father of a nation without a mother of the nation. So let's welcome her and be sure, let's be sure that you cast your votes and be sure that we inaugurate a new period in our social and political history. And these are the workers. The green what? The green machine? All right. I want to start with Karl Marx. Something called the 18 Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte. And Karl Marx observed and take mention. He says that men make their own history, but do not make it as they please. They do so under circumstances already existing, which is then transmitted from the past. The tradition of all dead generations weigh like a nightmare on the brains of the living. We didn't just get here yesterday. We've been here for a long time. In other words, all political actors are the products of the historical and political past. Our objective must always be to take their work to a higher and more comprehensive level of development. As the Rastas will say, you got to take it higher, to higher heights. And that's our obligation today, to take the work that our forefathers done to higher heights through the election of the UNC and Kamala Basesa. Now, I see my labor people very ting and so it seems to me, sorry about that. As you may remember, brothers and sisters, Captain Arthur Cipriani, one of our earliest political leaders, was a Corsican or of French religion, of French origin. He was known as the captain of the barefoot man. Captain Cipriani fought for an 8-hour day, a minimum wage, and an old age pension. The Old Age Pension Act was introduced into the country on July 1st, 1939. This was Cipriani's major contribution to society. So that when we see Rowley and Young trying to stop some people from getting the pension, that is wickedness. And understand that. When one man could walk away with $1 million a year and say somebody who's making $3,000 have to have $25,000 in the bank, then you know we have a problem. So we started the labor movement. It's born in 1875, where we struggled to enrich and enhance the life of working people. And the very first act was Captain Cipriani, who passed the Age-Old Pension Act in 1939. In 1939, yes. Cipriani was followed by Grenadian-born Tubal Uriah Butler. Oh, okay, give me the buzz. Tubal Uriah Butler. All right, sister love. I like that. Let me get it again. Who together with Adrian Colarenzi fought for the betterment of the working people of this land. In 1937, both African and Indian people rioted to improve their working conditions. While workers in the South and the oil belt were doing their thing, we, the workers in Tagarigua and Orange Grove, were striking in solidarity with the workers of the South. That is, the people from Tagarigua, Densley, Cane Farm, El Dorado, Five Rivers. were in solidarity with their brothers in the salt and oil to begin to get a better work. That is why it is so important that the oilers come together with the PSA and the working people to begin to demand a new dispensation. That was a time when Indians came together with with African people to usher in a new day. The most significant aspect, I'm missing a paper. Just give me a second. I can't leave, don't worry. At any rate, it seems to me that the next thing that happened is that, of course, Eric Williams came into power in 1956, and he, of course, made his contribution. In this year and time, the most significant aspect of the UNC's campaign has been how it has brought together a substantial number of black people to join with their Indian brothers and sisters in a common cause. The common cause being what? Throw out the people's national movement. You know, sometimes I hear the chant Williams mantra very glibly. They say, we are not an ordinary party in a narrow sense of the word. We are rather a rally, a convention of all and for all the mobilization of those forces, cutting across races and religions and classes and culture. But of course, this wondrous and stilling cry was never meant to be a static phenomenon. Everything in life changes. Nothing stays the same. And if we decide to thwart them, it's a law of nature, because they did not do what they were supposed to do for black people and working people, so we have to throw them out. However, it was a necessary precondition for what we must say there. But when Williams came, he came to give dignity to poor black men and the poor black women and the working people. But then he tells us one thing: Massa they done, Sahib they done, and tonight we must say PNM they done. In fact, we must understand nothing stays the same. History is process rather than stasis. We have to go forward, and at this point, we know who, in fact, have kept us back and on that trail. Jack, boy, I think you give me my whole speech, you know. Anyhow, it seems to me then that tonight and today, the fate of the United National Congress and that of the UNC and Kamla Prasad Besessa is to form a new day and take us in a new direction to higher heights. In fact, an African-American novelist, Ralph Ellison, put this moment best when he said, "Our task is to become one, yet many." This is not prophecy, this is description. Our task is to become one, and no one must step in our way to prevent us from doing that. Kamla Prasad Besessa is uniquely qualified to take us to that next stage of social development. She's a woman, and women care, I think, Mr. Jeremy, a little more than men. Because women are nurturing, they love, they concern more others. And of course, she understands what our problems might be. She displays an empathy and love, a sense of nurturing that men don't always possess. It might be because women tend to put their children before themselves. But women possess a sense of caring and tenderness that few men have. As she says repeatedly in her speeches, You may have other leaders before me. You'll have other leaders after me, but you'll never have a leader that loves you more than I do. It is this tenderness, this love that Kamala will bring to our assignment. I ask you for one moment to consider the behavior of our leader of sorrow and grief. You have another name, I can't call it the next name. And you see, here was Kamala. Mandela had died, and she had to go to South Africa to take and carry our sympathy to South Africa and our neighbors. And she did one thing, which might be a mistake. No. She took the leader of our grief and sorrow with her. Now, could you imagine our leader of grief and sorrow taking Kamala to South Africa to argue that she's husband? No, never. He has no empathy. He will curse you. Oh, sorry. He will curse you. He will do all kind of things. But you must understand that empathy and love and concerns for others is the hallmark of our own humanity. Mr. Sawat Singh is the priest. But I think the Bible beckons, love ye one another as I have loved thee. And even though all he could say about Kamala, she'd throw up and all kind of thing, and everything else, but nothing in love. Have you ever heard that fella say anything in love about anybody, boy? And how you, where you learn that from? You have to find that out. But the fact of the matter, if you compare the approaches in love from one and the other, you begin to realize that one lacks in compassion. One lacks in concern for one's people, while the other, of course, is filled with love. The next one, of course, is our squatter prime minister. Our squatter prime, I know we have squatting Tagarigua, we have all kind of squatting thing. In the hills, in the teeth land and thing. So you didn't own it. You didn't own it. You're squatting in the land. And you, oh God, let him get out. Take him out. And the fact about squatting is that you have not earned your place in the geography and the society. You are thrust upon us as a squatter, and now we must say, Mr. Prime Minister, we love you so, and all that kind of nonsense, and give the man $1 million after 31 days of service. Well, I hope the next AG look at that law and make some qualifications. Nobody should get $1 million. The boy bought 50 now. For the next 30 years, he gained $1 million. That's 30 million till he dead. And doesn't want to see an old age pensioner, an elderly person getting $3,000 a month. That is reprehensible. It should not be accepted. It goes against our decency and a sense of what it means to be a human being, as probably Mr. Jeremy would say, in this world and this country. Get them out. Green. Where is it? Get them out now. But of course, it also might be in all of this that this squatter prime minister may be a decent young man. However, Professor Ramesh Saran, writing in Newsday on April 20th, put it very nicely, and remember it. He says, he carries a heavy burden, too many ghosts from the past, the main one being the repeated failures in crime and national security. Did you all remember he was the first minister of national security? Before Hines, the non-performing fellow? And then they gave him the assignment, go and catch all the UNC people who thief. Have they locked up anybody yet, boy? So that's 10 years ago, right? And they're telling Miss Felicia that she will get she money and some kind of nonsense. You believe them? So again, as Ramesh Saran says, he carries a heavy burden. Too many ghosts from the past. The main one being the repeated failures in crime and national security. And just in case you're wondering, the Piarco shooting last week did little improve his image in this regard. But as the old people say, the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. So all he's going to do is to replicate the insolence, etc., of the leader of our grief and our sorrow. But remember, I said that the past is always laying down on your head like a nightmare. He cannot get out of that because all he has done has been able to just carrying the bags of the leader of our grief and our sorrow, and now he's gotten to carry the bags, I suspect, of our codes for another 31 days. On August 28th, vote them out. They have failed us. More particularly, they have failed black people. Look at the prisons. Look at the unperforming schools. All of them are in the PNM area. All right? Look who are committing the crimes. And we say we like them and we black. Blackness is not in the pigmentation of your skin. It's what's in your mind. And this fella, I don't think. I want to use the kind of like Funon and black skins and white masks and thing. I don't want to say all that in. But it tells you that they have no interest and concern for our people. And so therefore, what we must do on election day is to vote them out. There is really no way in which the squatter prime minister can take us into this new sphere of social existence. My argument is we've reached a new sphere of social existence. Cipriani took us one place, Butler took us another place, Williams took us another place, but tonight, the Honorable Kamala Prasad has the burden of taking us to another place because she understands the society and has the care and love for society. In fact, neither his academic nor political education has prepared him for that role. If he could not be trusted to win a PNM election, how could you expect him to carry forward the nation? In fact, Rowley, the leader of our grief, postponed the convention because he knew he couldn't get the votes. And you say, you change up the PNM, one man, one vote. But when the time comes for one man, one vote, you say, no, let's run to our 21 members of parliament. And we go get them, and the vote for 11-9, then they come down here and change the whole thing. But the fact of the matter, that was a complete malfeasance of what it means for democracy. I have argued to agree. Eric Williams and the other past people, Colorenzi, Button, have tried to deepen our democracy, make it more popular for one man, one vote, for people to understand where they're going. But it seems that they could not do that, weren't able to do that, and therefore we must take it in our own hands to say we are at another sphere of development. Some foolish people say development is a circle, it's circular. Development is never circular. Development is spiral. It goes from one level of sublation to another level, to another rung, to another rung. Miss Lady, you talking there, you remember your first kiss? You carry, why you carry? It only happened once. It only happened once. It can't come back again. They're gone. They catch me once. They catch me twice. But at this time, we should take up our arms. And of course, as we say in both times, that must not happen. There, of course, it seems to me, I will end now, at this stage of our development, we need someone who has the necessary academic, political, and social skills to take us to a new level of development. Someone who shows grace under adversity and a determination to to take us forward. I believe sincerely that Kamla Persad-Bissessar is ideally suited for this moment of our history. A vote for her and the UNC are the necessary conditions to take us to this new phase of social development. May God bless Kamla with the discernment and the grace to usher in a new phase. How can anyone refuse to be a part of this historic moment? In the years to come, you'll be proud to tell your children, I voted for the UNC. I was part of the great moment of change. I understand them as we understand it now. When UNC wins, everybody wins. And when we inaugurate Kamla on April 28th, we'll of course inaugurate and put into power the mother of our nation. And when Kamla wins, the nation wins, and she takes us to a whole nother level of understanding and sentiments. I thank you, my brothers and sisters.
When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide.
Thank you. Another round of applause, please, for Professor Selwyn Kojo. At this time, I would like to read something to you. Get some silence. I want you to really capture the essence of what I'm about to read. This was written by IBN Lama de Leon. So let's get a little silence here. Let me read it. Heavenly Father, we know one thing is true, and nothing happens without you. We thank you for showing us that the PNM is great by inspiring Stuart to set the election date. We have always been loyal to our party's mission, but our leaders have lost touch with Eric's vision. Eric never imagined our leader addressing our meeting and boasting about going to Likoto to harm Manning. A darkness has descended over our party and country, but on April 28th, there's hope for liberty. On April 28th, from the darkness, we must run. It is time to face the rising sun. Over the past 10 years, our decisions created our fate. Now, Freedom Day has to be April 28th. Forget the past that was dark, gloomy, and hard. Let us be the change to create a new portrait of Trinidad. Let us change the darkness and the sins. Let us go to a place where everybody wins. On April the 20th, from household to carload, just remember, yellow is the code. Beautiful writing, beautiful writing. So much energy, so much excitement, and so much importance surrounds this election. And right here, of course, in Arouca, Lopinot, so important that the General Secretary of the United National Congress is with us here tonight. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Peter Kanai. At this time, we want to introduce a man who has been side by side with our next member of parliament. He has been walking day and night. And if not here, he's in other constituencies. They're walking side by side with the candidates, boosting their presence, getting them into the homes of people, because he's definitely a man that many admire. He's a seasoned leader and a visionary whose legacy in sports and politics has left an indelible mark on Trinidad and Tobago. He is known for his strategic thinking and unwavering commitment to progress. Arouca, Lopinot, 5 Rivers Junction, please stand. Please stand and welcome our host for the evening. Put your hands together for Mr. Jack Austin Warner.
See my ex-Satan new man, feel like she new burn. Inside the session, party kicking up hard. She put up, she do one, whining back on the man. They think I gave a damn, the mad. The day you leave me, the day you leave, I started to see my worth. When you hurt me, I went away. What I thought was a tragedy was a blessing. The day you up and leave was a blessing. A blessing. I'm feeling so blessed. Oh yes, when you leave was a blessing.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, MC. I want to say to you tonight, I am very, very pleased at what I'm seeing. I am equally very, very pleased at what I've heard so far. I want to thank all the previous speakers and even the speaker to come after me. But before I do that, I want to say to our Prime Minister, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, as from Tuesday she is Prime Minister, I want to say to her wherever she is, good night and thanks for all she has done and is doing to save this country. Now, before I came here, a lot of people were telling me what to talk about. They want me to talk about Rowley and how, of course, Rowley tried to defame me and how he's now to face the court. But I don't want to talk about Rowley because Eric Williams had told Chucky many years ago, and it's still relevant today. Eric Williams told Chucky, let the jackass bray. So therefore, tonight, I am not talking about Rowley. Tonight also, I have been asked by some friends to talk about the money lost in the treasury and the foolish explanation given by the Minister of Finance, Vishnu Danpal. Dan, the man in the van. But I ain't talking about that. Not tonight. They say they have a new chapter. But with an old book, yes. And worse yet, pages with dog ears. So I've been talking about that. They say they read, ready and responsible. But you all know, particularly the women, if you read, you ain't ready. And if you read and ready, you can't be responsible. They talk also, and they say they are party all in. When I was 18 years old, that was a good thing, all in. But now, a lot of you like me, it means nothing. It means all out. And when all out, people want chips. So I ain't talking about them. I ain't talking about them. They asked me to talk about Heinz, Fitzgerald Heinz. Heinz, who can't be seen anywhere at all on the PM platform. You can't see Heinz on nowhere on any platform. They're hiding Heinz. You can't see Imbert on any platform at all. They're hiding Imbert. You can't see them at all, at all, at all. And they want me to talk about them? Not tonight. They asked me to talk about the arrogance of the government, about corruption, about the fact that they lie. But I say to them, that will take me whole night. I can't talk about that. And then they say, listen, talk about crime then. And I'm telling them the same thing. I can't talk about that. I don't have enough time. They asked me to talk about property tax assessment forms, which are now at the TT Post. Those forms are out for 2025, property tax. And they have asked TT Post not to send them out until after the election. But I ain't talking about that. I ain't talking about that. They are telling TT Post, don't let these assessment forms come out. Let them, of course, hold back until after Monday. Because they want to fool you. And while I want to talk about that, and I was glad to do that, I don't think tonight is the time for that. So therefore, in fact, they even asked me to talk about the roads in the country. They asked me to say how suddenly they find money to fix potholes. And how that is an insult to people. It's an insult. For 5 years, potholes like you're crazy. And the last 5 days, they're fixing potholes. They say I must talk about the lack of water in some communities. They say also too that I must talk how this country and its people have been neglected for the last 10 years. But my friends, even that I ain't talking about. They asked me to talk about Petrotrin. And of course, the fact that it is being now sold to a Nigerian company mere days before an election. Wickedness, wrong. But I ain't talking about that. Not tonight. They asked me to talk about Stuart Young, the OJT Prime Minister, OJT on the job training. My last friend called him a squatter Prime Minister. That made me more appropriate. They asked me to talk about him and the fact that he is guilty of several excesses in the government. They asked me to talk about him and 137 recusals from the cabinet. They want to talk about him and how, of course, his family, he and his family have become rich overnight. But again, I'm telling you tonight, I ain't talking about that. They asked me to talk about Marvin Gonzalez, and I am making no mistake, Ms. Thomas. I saying Marvin. I don't know our stomach. I can't say that. Eh? So I say Marvin Gonzalez. Talk about him. The absentee MP from this constituency. The guy who, of course, is arrogance personified. The guy who you would vote for. But today to talk to him, you're talking through the barrel of a gun. He has security in front, security behind. To talk about him and how they vandalized the office of the UNC on Railway Road. Vandalized the office, put along the posters and so on. Jack, talk about that. I'm not talking about that. Not talking about that. So therefore, what am I talking about? I'm talking tonight about some of the things that will take place in this constituency if you elect Dr. Natalie Chaitan-Maharaj. In fact, I wouldn't say if you elect her, when you elect. The first thing you will see is a new brand market in this constituency. You see where the old police station was? that is now abandoned, opposite the gas station, that is where a market will be. Under Natalie Chaitan-Maharaj. Under that MP, you will see a new library in this constituency, where they have brought in over 60,000 persons, young children, no library. They take away laptop, and now they ain't give no library. Natalie will give you your library. You see, for example, they brought in people here, built several homes, nice homes. We traveled through all the length and breadth of this country, of this constituency. Lovely homes, but not a fire station. Not a fire station. That lady will give you one. She will give you one. In this constituency, youthful unemployment is at its highest. Guys, young guys walking the street listlessly, not knowing what to do as the day comes. And your new MP, your next MP, will spend her term working for youthful employment. Get the young people occupied. You see, when this lady becomes your MP, the people in Victory Heights, in Arouca, who have not gotten their deeds for their homes, after 15, 20 years they have paid off for their homes. 15 years, 20 years, they pay for their homes. They come to us when we walk in. Mr. Warner, please, we beg you, when she becomes our MP, help us. I tell her tonight, she will. In this constituency, a guy called Stanislaus Huggins has some documents of making Arouca a tongue. And I told him we shall discuss that after election, when the MP is there to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of his proposals. But it's good. I read them. And he's talking about tongueship and what can be done. And he's saying, of course, that these things must be prioritized. These things are critical issues. I said, Stan Huggins, I hope he's here listening to me tonight. Stan Huggins! Stan Huggins! All right, he absent, sir. Well, I tell her, his document. Oh, look him there, man. Look him there. Right? Stan, your document will be studied by our MP after April 28th. Under this MP, and I call her MP, not that MP, because she has to get used to the term MP. She must only hear Tuesday, or no, she must hear it and get used to the term MP. So this MP, we have discussed it, and she has agreed to form a constituency council, where, of course, you can meet once a month to hear your complaints, to assist her, to tell her your problems, because she doesn't have all the answers, and she doesn't want to come here once every 5 years. You meet her once a month, a council being formed of the elders and plus young people who must meet monthly with her to tell her how best to govern, I want a better word, how best to govern and to rule this constituency. And she has asked me to be her advisor on that council. Boy, I say, quick, I take it quick. I say, yes, I will join you. And the details of that council shall be worked out later, not for tonight. But the fact is, this is the first constituency where you will have a constituency council to advise and to guide the MP, and not the arrogance of your present MP. You wouldn't have that. She has agreed, and she knows that she is your servant here to serve you. Moreover, this is a top one. Moreover, she has agreed that as from next year, we shall bring back Arouca Carnival to what it was before. No longer you will have to go to Apuna or to Brazil, because Arima has nothing, or to Brazil for carnival. She will bring back a carnival, and we shall both work together to achieve that. So I'm saying to you, therefore, that these are the things that we shall do when she gets into office. But she's best qualified to tell you much more than I can. I'm only John the Baptist, I'm the forerunner. She's Jesus. She will tell you what she plans to do when she becomes your MP. But you know, you can say what you want. Jack Warner, nice motorcade boy. Plenty people, plenty cars. I say, right. Jack Warner, that lady, Chaitan, a nice lady. I say, right. Jack Warner, she a doctor. I say, yes. But don't worry, Jack Warner, all you win already. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Monday, April 28th, that you go to the polls and put your finger here and vote. And vote. This finger will determine your fate for the next 5 years. Don't play with this finger. The other fingers you can play with, but not this finger. I ain't saying nothing rude, I'm not rude. Not this finger. Because this finger determines your fate. And you can't take a chance. You have to ensure that the PNM becomes history after Monday. You have to ensure that they're no longer in office as from Monday. But to do that, you have to vote. And to vote, you have to not only vote, but get your friends and your family. And you have to make sure that they put their X by the UNC. You know why? When the UNC wins, Natalie Chaitan-Maharaj wins. When the UNC wins, Arouca Lopinot wins. But when the UNC wins, everybody wins. I thank you.
She new burn, inside the session. She put up, she do one. Whining back on the man. You think I gave a damn? The mad. The day you leave me, the day you leave me, I started to see my way.
Oh, yes.
When you hurt me, I went away. What I thought was a tragedy was a blessing. The day you up and leave was a blessing. A blessing.
Thank you.
I'm feeling.
A round of applause once again for the man, Jack Warner. Let me also mention we do have a former Attorney General, John Jeremy, here with us tonight. Please stand, Mr. Jeremy. And to all our speakers, great speakers. They say new chapter, new verse. But Marvin was there. They give Marvin a job now, Minister of National Security. Marvin was able to zero in one time. He said rogue officers is the problem. Marvin, you sit down next to the most rogue people in this country for all them years, and you didn't identify them. You didn't see them. You didn't see when they leave and recuse themselves, not for our interests, but for themselves, their friends, their family, finances. Marvin didn't see that. Marvin didn't realize he's sitting down with people who can't even account for missing money. But he didn't see that. He didn't see the murder rate. He didn't see Arouca Lopinot suffering. The youths with no opportunities. But on the new job, he's zeroing on the problem. Marvin, we zeroing on you long time. And on Monday, you had to go. Don't wait, go. Whether you flip, dip, or skip, you had to go. We have reached a point in our program because you know soon when it is that there's no adequate water supply, you know who you're calling, you know who going to fix that. We know it's Natalie. As Jack Warner said, Carnival will return to Arouca under who? The youths will have opportunities under who? Arouca Lopinot will be living better under who? But don't let me waste no time. We don't know she's a doctor. We know she's a this, she knows that. But listen up, man. Make some noise for our next member of parliament for Arouca Lopinot. Welcome, Dr. Natalie Chaitan-Maharaj.
I come for this one. Sign me up. I come for this one. Sign me up. I come for this one. Sign me up. I come for it. Boss lady, I come for this one. Sign me up. I come for this one. How are you? Yeah. Yeah. Hey. How are you? Give me the work, with the work. Give me the work, with the work now. Give me the work, with the work now. I come for this one. Sign me up, I come for this one. Sign me up, I come for this one. Sign me up, I come for it. Boss lady, I come for this one. Sign me up, I come for this one. Sign me up, I come for this one. I never walk it properly.
Arouca Lopinot. Welcome to Five Rivers. Welcome to my home. The only thing rain does stop is cricket. We outside. We can't hold any car park. We can't hold any tents. We reach across the road and over the bus route. Look at my crowd. All right. Let me try to observe my protocols. Good evening to our leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa SC, to all party officials present, to my guest speakers, to my crowd, and I have to take a minute for my PSA brothers and sisters, this big green army, my comrades. You all filled out the front first. Now, Felicia and I had a little joke the first time I met her. I told her, I am one of yours. I voted for you. She said, really? She's one of mine. She lives here, and she's voting for me. All right. To the meat of the matter. Arouca Lopinot, you are in danger. You are in a perilous position, Arouca Lopinot. You are victims of this PNM regime. Do you see the disaster happening in this country? This 10-year nightmare? This East-West corridor, the constituency of Arouca Lopinot, has become a man-made, no, PNM-made disaster for the last decade of darkness. Tonight, I stand before you, not just as a candidate, but as a woman, humbly asking to be the change this constituency needs. Arouca Lopinot, vote for the UNC. Vote for me. I will represent you. I will rescue you as an MP who genuinely understands you. How can I do this? Because I am one of you. I live with you, right there. I have endured the same lack of support that you have for the last decade. I raise my children in this community with you. When you have no water, I have no water. My husband have to call Wasa and beg for a truck supply, just like you. When you have no electricity, I have no electricity. I have to go and fill out the TN-Tech forms for damaged appliances, and just like you, nobody has come for me. I drive the same potholes that you do, damaging my car in traffic, replacing shocks, replacing rims. I go to the same shop and the same grocery that you do,
and I see the price of food soar alongside you. Now, I worked hard to get where I am, and I will continue to give my blood, sweat, and tears to serve you, just as I did at Mount Hope Women's Hospital for 15 years, serving mother and child. After April 28th, I will continue to work hard as your MP. I will give my all to serve you, my neighbors, to ease your struggle. I will continue to work hard to rescue you, Arouca Lopinot, from the clutches of the PNM. What does Marvin know of your struggles? Has he helped you in the past? On nomination day, he called on you to bury Mr. Warner once and for all. Is that grace and brought-upsy you want your PNM MP to show? An MP who wants to bury elders in the community? That's class? That's compassion? On nomination day, this man called on you to reject what I stand for. Imagine that. Now, I am your neighbor. I am a wife, a mother, a public servant, a woman of God who has toiled and prayed and struggled to make a better life for my children and my family. I stand for family. I stand for raising children in love and kindness. Are these things Marvin and the PNM want you to reject? Family, service to man, and service to God? What do they stand for then? Nepotism? Divisiveness? Look, T- today done. T- 3 days. On April 28th, show them who and what you reject. Vote them out. Show them what you stand for. Vote for the UNC. Marvin Gonzalez claims he has done a lot. He was so bold-faced to use those very billboards right there on the street where I live to show his list of lies of work done. But let's talk the facts. The last 10 years have been a PNM-made, a Marvin-made disaster for our country and our community. We'll number them. 1, as Public Utilities Minister, he was a disaster. Water shortages still plague the communities of this constituency. Bonaire, 5 Rivers, Lopinot. I recorded on video leaking water lines from Tacarigua to Surrey on my walkabouts. Roads crumbling in Lopinot, Bertie Road and Windy Hill, and so many more. 2, housing has been a disaster. Remember Terrestrial. Affordable housing remains a dream for many families struggling to find stability. How many applied for HDC homes? They told me when we walk, or even a home improvement grant. I put up videos of people's houses falling apart, roofs coming down, applied for grants for years and years and ignored. Imagine Mr. Warner said, Victory Heights, the woman come out, she tell her she done pay for her HDC house, pay the full amount and can't get a deed. The entire Windy Hill community. Where has their support been? Where is their community center? Health center? Their road? Under the UNC's last administration, health centers were open 24/7. Hundreds of schools were built, and we will do it again. I reach 3. Youth and community development. Boy, more disaster. Now this one hits a nerve for me, because my reason for standing on this platform is my 2 babies, my children. and every other mother and father and family with their children in this country tonight. Our youth, they are talented, ambitious, hopeful, and willing. They're left without jobs or training or opportunities. The PNM have had education, training, and funding programs slashed and cut and discontinued at every turn. Marvin boasted of this ministry and that ministry, all with policies to help our youth. But then, didn't Stuart Young come up with a ministry of efficiency? Coming up with an idea like that shows their policies make no sense. That is disaster. We reach 4. Cultural and sports amenities. Boy, that's the biggest disaster. Take Carnival. Carnival, which should unite and empower our communities and our countries. Marvin left it underfunded and sidelined, left it to die. He wants to bury our Jack Warner, just like he buried the Arouca Carnival that Mr. Warner started. They have no care for Carnival or for culture. They have no care for the rich heritage and culture of this constituency. Imagine Lopinot, the heritage plantation building left to rot for the last 10 years. Only in this election, they're running up now to try and fix the place. Quick, quick. All you falling for that? No. What about sports? Did you all know they have a recreation ground on Crown Street, Lendell Simmons Ground, that produced star cricketers for this country? That ground and all other sporting grounds, like up on Range Road, like up by Prime Minister's Park, all fallen into disrepair with cracks and holes in the fields, left in darkness. But now again in elections, Range Road Field, Marvin running quick and putting up lights and opening a ceremony for it to turn on a light. Are you falling for that? 5, education and employment. That's disaster and more disaster. My dream is to see our government secondary schools producing scholars, to see our secondary schools molding our youth into young adults who can be happy, have a productive place in our society, and grow into everything they dream of being. Marvin has not made one step to that kind of goal, not one. Not one refurbished school, not one new youth or education initiative. In contrast, you want to know my favorite part of the UNC's education manifesto? It's the technical and vocational education part, where there is a policy for children and youths who are just not meant for maths and English. The ones who don't do well with book and pen and paper and whiteboard and chalkboard. The UNC has a plan for children who prefer to work with their hands, to learn differently. For children who don't aspire to be doctors and lawyers. Because boy, even with this PNM, a doctor can't get a walk. A technical and vocational university will open jobs for youths. It will give them a foundation to stand on. They will become the people that none of us can live without. They will become the electricians, the plumbers, the masons, the mechanics, the chefs, the agriculturalists, the EMTs, the oil and field gas workers, and the list goes on. They will find jobs in the manufacturing hub planned for the East-West corridor. They will have no difficulty, our youth, in finding grants and incentives to open their own businesses. This is my plan. This is the UNC's plan to rescue our children and our youth from this disaster that the PNM has brought upon them. 6, this is my last count and my favorite too. Healthcare has gone from bad to worse to disaster under the PNM. I have seen the downward spiral in the public sector. I have seen patients die during COVID. I have seen patients wait for hours in emergency rooms, for months for appointments in clinics or for surgery. I have seen mothers die. I have seen babies die. I have seen the pain and the suffering of families left to grieve for a lifetime. I have seen horrors that keep me awake at night in this public healthcare system under the PNM. I have read the UNC's health manifesto, and having been a worker with my boots on the ground in that system for the last 15 years, I can see how every point in this manifesto can be applied to fix this PNM disaster of a healthcare system, to eradicate the disease festering there and fix it from the inside out. Now, I've been going on and on about this disastrous nightmare that the PNM have us living in, and is a bit gloomy. So instead of going on about the nightmare, let me lighten it up a little bit. Let me tell you about a dream I have. Let me tell you about a dream I have for the future. In my dream, there is a young woman from right here in Five Rivers. She finds out that she's pregnant with her first child on the 29th of April, right after the UNC has won the election. Now, it's a surprise pregnancy, but she goes on and gives birth to a beautiful daughter at the end of the year. She names her Hope. What kind of life do you think Hope will have under the UNC government? Let me tell you. A UNC baby grant will be given to help baby Hope. A new UNC ECC center will shape young Hope. Screening in primary school will identify her vocational preferences. She likes to work with her hands. A new UNC HTC house will be given to Hope and her mommy. The new UNC Vocational University will allow Hope to train. And as Hope grows up, a new UNC fast-track policy will help her to open her own vocational business. A new UNC Forex policy and removed online taxes will help Hope to buy online and sustain her business. Look how nice she's turning out. Hope will be able to do all of these things in life, work and recreation, with no fear for safety or self. That kind of fear is only in stories of the disastrous PNM past told by her mother. All because of the UNC's policies tackling crime that made her country safe and secure. When Hope finally reaches retirement, she enjoys her time with family in her untaxed home, with her untaxed pension. When she does not have to seek medical care when she's sick, the doctors come to her in the comfort of her home. She lives peacefully in her retirement. It's a nice dream, isn't it? The UNC's manifestos and plans will make life better for all of us at every stage in life, man, woman, and child. Now, I've told you about the real disastrous nightmare we live in now, and I've told you about the future that I dream about. Tonight, I tell you, the UNC can rescue you and end this disastrous nightmare. The UNC can make my dream for a little girl from Arouca, Lopinot come true. Our UNC manifesto can and will be fulfilled. Not them PNM people 25%. We will do it all. Our track record shows we have done it before and we will do it again. When you vote us into government next week with our leader, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar at the helm, we will rescue Trinidad and Tobago. Now, hear me clear on this part, this is important. I have never depended on anyone to get the job done for me. I have saved lives and delivered babies with my own 2 hands for 15 years. My whole life, I have been stubbornly independent, not wanting to depend on anyone. But on April 25th, the final step in this hard battle, 28th, sorry, I can't do this with my 2 hands. The final battle will be put into your hands, my neighbors of Arouca, Lopinot. I will have to depend on each and every one of you. You will ultimately have to be the ones to allow me to rescue us from this PNM disaster. Only when you vote them out, only when you vote for the UNC, can the dreams come true. I thank you. I thank you in advance for your support and your vote on election day. I thank you all for your outpouring of love and support that you have shown me throughout this campaign. I thank my entire campaign team. I thank all of those who so willingly gave of their time and their resources to make this campaign and this massive event tonight a resounding success. My humble gratitude and God's blessings to you all. Arouca Lopinot, in just 72 hours on April 28th from 6 a.m., I say to you, go to the polls and vote them out. Vote the UNC. Vote early. Then go home and make sure everyone does the same. Because when the UNC wins, everybody wins. When the UNC wins, everybody wins. When the UNC wins, everybody wins. Thank you, Five Rivers. Thank you, Arouca Lopinot. I love you. Good night.
Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can build, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who can lead properly, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one
Thank you,
dream.
DJ.
On election day.
Oh, yes, indeed. Another round of applause for your next member of parliament for Arouca Lopinot, Dr. Natalie Chaitan-Maharaj. At this time, we ask you to wait around as we've got some entertainment for you. Homegrown right here from Arouca Lopinot. People, please put your hands together and welcome on stage a big performer, the man himself, Smokey.
Pleasant good night, Arouca Lopinot. 5 hours school, you don't know, right? Love and respect, Dr. Natalie, Uncle Jack. Alright, here I told you, I see Miss Patsy there, but Patsy lover. All I get money with them now.